Hello. Today I'm going to be discussing our analysis of NBA team travel and rest periods and whether any teams or conferences have advantages when it comes to scheduling. Our group started out by creating a spreadsheet of the NBA 2019-2020 season as it was originally scheduled and coding each game with a different color to identify quality games, rested games, advantage games, disadvantage games, and sludge games. Quality games are between two teams that both have 2 or more days of rest from their previous game, indicated in yellow. Rested games are indicated in green and represent one team that has 2+ days of rest, but not both teams. Advantage games are indicated in blue and represent a team with at least 1 day of rest facing another team that is in the second half of a back-to-back with no rest. Disadvantage games in red are the opposite, teams on a back-to-back with no rest facing a team with rest. Sludge games indicated in gray are when both teams are on the second game of a back-to-back. We based our analysis of quality of games on multiple research studies done by the National Institute of Health and National Center of Biotechnology Information, which discussed rest, travel, circadian patterns, and load management. Based on these studies, we believe quality and rest games to be the most advantageous for teams because players are getting at least 1 full night of REM sleep between game performances. Often, post-game media and post-game cooldowns, as well as travel directly after games, impact sleep quality too much to call 1 day of rest truly quality in terms of performance. We expected teams in more isolated geographical areas to have fewer rested games, and for teams in areas close to other markets to have more rested games. We also expected larger, more profitable markets to have more quality games on their schedules. We found a few interesting data points in our analysis, the first being that Western teams had on average a higher number of rested games throughout the schedule. This may be because of travel times and logistics. Also interesting, teams like New York and Brooklyn and the 2 Los Angeles teams had slightly above average numbers of advantage games, but they were not the highest. We had expected that teams within the same city or area would play more teams on back-to-backs since road trips often happen in one geographical area. While we initially expected larger, more popular markets to have the most quality games, Indiana actually came out ahead with 9 total on their schedule. The runners-up were Orlando, Philadelphia, and Sacramento with 8 each. The average number of sludge games in the schedule was 2.6, and there was only one major outlier with 7, the Chicago Bulls. This discrepancy also showed up in their number of disadvantage games. They only had 5. Their location in the geographical middle of the league may account for some of this, as well as the popularity of the United Center, but that doesn't explain the full extent of it, as multiple other arenas like the Staples Center are also consistently busy. Golden State and Phoenix had the fewest sludge games. The team with the most disadvantage games was Phoenix, partially because they had no sludge games. They had 13 disadvantage appearances, while Washington, Detroit, and Atlanta all had 12. All in all, there were few differences in schedule between teams, other than a slight benefit of rest for the Western Conference teams. This is incredibly impressive as the NBA plays in arenas across the country that serve multiple purposes and has to deal with the logistics of travel for 30 teams. The fact that no teams have large advantages or disadvantages in scheduling is a testament to how well the league is run.